A very good noon to all of you. I welcome you all to this session, Last Minute Tips for TISSNET English. Right, so I'm sure all of you have prepared consistently for TISSNET. We've had a lot of sessions for the English section, particularly where we dealt with previous year papers. We've also tackled some questions patterned on TISSNET, right? The most expected series that we had. And we've also had the last lab. I'm also sure that you've attended the GK sessions that were conducted specially for you, considering that the GK section is a make or break section in TISSNET. So today I will give you some tips, especially some English tips, along with a couple of questions to show you how you can attempt questions quickly and accurately in the English section. Right? Hi, Jonty. Hello, Naman. Naman, no need to be anxious. Okay. I'm sure you must have seen that, okay, in which questions your inaccuracy is high. Let's say it is in the grammar questions. Then see that are you not thorough with some of the rules? Then see, you still have time today. You can revise some rules. I'm sure you must have some notes or you must have some grammar book with you. Just revise some rules, practice a couple of fill in the blanks here and there, and that should help. So you have to see which area is actually causing that inaccuracy for you. All right. And no need to be anxious in case verbal ability, in case the language English section is not your strength and the math section is your strength, focus on maximizing your score there. Right? So, maths and reasoning, maximize your score there. GK is where there is a lot of potential for you to score because you need to score there, isn't it? If you want a 74, 75, you need to score in that section as well. Minimum, where there's no minimum when it comes to the English section. It all depends on how much you're scoring in the other two, right? So, for instance, even if let's say you're scoring a 30 on 30 in the math section, yes, and you are scoring what, uh, 14 is something that you require, right? So if you're scoring, let's say, a 20 on 40 in the general awareness section, in the GK section, right, then you already have 50 marks here. Then okay, you can afford a 25 here in case we are targeting a 75, isn't it? Then you can actually think of a 25 here. So it depends on your score in the other two sections, that what is the minimum that you need here, right? I would say 25 plus is something that all of you should target, right? Okay. Quantitative nahi aata. Anshul, so I think for that, regarding this, we are probably in the same boat. Yes, mathematics is my Achilles heel too. So I'm sure that you have attended the sessions by our quant faculties, the reasoning faculties. In case you haven't, just watch some of their last minute tips for you. Okay, probably that should help you. All right. Good afternoon, Mayank. Hi, Ashmita. Naman is saying vocabulary. So if vocabulary is the problem, then see what we can do at the most in case we do not know a particular vocabulary word in the examination situation is we can just group, eliminate and make calculated guesses. So do make those calculated guesses. Don't give up right on looking at the question. Oh, I haven't seen this word. I'll not be able to attempt this synonym question. That should not be the attitude. Even if you've roughly heard the word somewhere, even if you've not heard the word somewhere, but you can group and eliminate a couple of options, make a calculated guess from the remaining two options, right? That should be your strategy. Okay, so you have to do this smartly. You have to attempt the section smartly. You may not be they don't want you to be masters of English and mathematics and reasoning. They just want to see how smartly you're able to attempt the paper in a time constraint, right? So let's see what I have in store for you. Some general tips, some strategy tips, some English tips, a couple of questions, and some exam day tips. So a lot in store for you today. Good afternoon, all of you who have just joined. So what should be your strategy? I'm sure by now all of you have evolved a strategy for yourself. So I'll just give you some basic pointers here, things that you already know but just need to assimilate. So you know that there are no sectional cutoffs except in the general awareness section, right? The GK section as they call it. So my suggestion is that you start with GK because anyway it's a speedy section, right? Here, either you know or you do not know. So start with the general awareness section. Attempt all the questions here because there's no negative marking. Make calculated guesses in case you have some rough knowledge of a particular question. In case you do not know a question at all, then just have an option in mind. Okay, that okay, for questions that I do not know, I'm going to mark D as my answer. I'm going to mark A as my answer for all such questions. So have such a fixed one option in your mind. Pick your favorite from the four. Right? So start with general awareness, finish it in about 15 minutes, and then proceed to your stronger section, whether it is maths or reasoning or English section. This should be your sectional strategy. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, Ipsita. That is really good to know. Okay. What should be your time breakup? See, approximately 15 minutes. I've established this for the general knowledge section, the general awareness section. English, even if it is your strength, I don't think it should take you more than 35 minutes. So this is the upper limit, right? Even if it is your strength, even if you're, maximizing your score from the English section, then also I don't think it should take you 30 to 35 minutes. That is also on the upper side. Why? Because see, the synonym antonym questions, the direct vocabulary questions as we call them, they hardly take you 20-25 seconds, not even 30 seconds. Right. Then, when we talk about your fill in the blank questions, again, they are a time saving question type. So, 30 to 35 minutes at the most for the English section. In mathematics and reasoning, some of you may be trying to maximize your score here. So, some of you may need 45 minutes. Some of you might like to devote these 5 minutes here. So, it's up to you, right? Depending on which section is your strength. I would say that keep approximately 5 to 10 minutes. 10 is on the upper side, at least 5-7 minutes for a round two. Meaning that those questions, see, there would be 2 to 3 questions, I believe. Okay, 10% of the questions, 2 to 3 questions in every section, right? That them. Okay, you can find out the answer. In that case, when you're attempting the paper for the first time, do not get stuck in these questions. They can waste your time tremendously. Okay, just mark it for review. Just note down the question number and then go back to it towards the end in the last 5-10 minutes that you have. So keep approximately 5 minutes at least for these 5-6 questions, right? Okay, so there's a query in the chat box. Uh, Okay. Isha, that's all of us. When you say this, you're speaking for all of us because there's no limit when it comes to GK, just like there's no limit when it comes to vocabulary, isn't it? So, uh, there will always be 1 to 2 such questions where you'll feel that you're out of your depth, where you'll feel that, okay, I studied so much, still I do not know the answer to this. So, and that's okay. That's everybody. Okay. So, if something, if this is you feel this is a drawback with you, trust me, it's a drawback with everybody. So, that actually neutralizes it. Okay. RC passages, I'm not expecting them to be extremely lengthy, okay? Considering that we are expecting about 2 RC passages if I look at the last year's pattern, right? 10 questions divided across 2 RC. So now this could be 6-4, this could be, this does not have to be exactly a 5-5 breakup, but I do not expect extremely lengthy RC passages from TISSNET, okay? That's based on my experience and my expectation, right? Also, as you know, the passages would be relatively easier when it comes to when I compare it with an exam such as CAT and XAT. Right? That's why we keep telling you in case you've prepared for CAT and XAT, then TISSNET RCs are doable for you. Right? Okay. RCs, we are expecting around 2 based on the last year's pattern. And because there are 10 questions, it's difficult to make a 10-question RC. So I'm expecting at least 2 RC passages. Okay. Now they might decide and give you 3 short RCs tomorrow. So that would be a surprise for you. And if something is a surprise, again, it's a surprise for everyone. So that gets neutralized. I'll give you the order of the questions so that will make things relatively easier for you in the English section. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dumru. That is such a sweet thing to say. Thank you so much. All right. There is no negative marking, you know that. So you have to attempt every question. Tomorrow, there should not be even one of the students who's currently in the session who does not mark even one question in the exam. Mark the answer to every question. Now, of course, there are some questions that you know. Of course, you're going to mark them. There are some in which you are confused. So the round two approach works there. Make calculated guesses here, right? Calculated guesses. Okay, I think these two options don't make sense at all. Eliminated. Between these two options, okay, mark one in case you're still confused till the very end. Then when it comes to you do not know, as I said, that keep one option in your mind. Okay, for whichever question to which I do not know the answer at all, I'm going to mark, let's say, a D or an A, right? So that's how you deal with the questions, but you have to mark all the questions. And repeatedly, I'm saying this, do not get stuck. That is counterproductive. See, you have just enough time. Right. I think Gandhiji said this, that this earth has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. Similarly, TISSNET has enough time for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. Don't be greedy with a particular question. At the end, it's also going to give you 1 mark, right? So don't get stuck in a question. That is one of the biggest mistakes that you can do, right? Okay. Then some queries. Let me just look at them. Just a second. Uh, Are there any chances for a change in the pattern? Uh, See, again, as per TISSNET's official website, whatever syllabus that I have read, right, it matches what they've released in the previous years. So as far as the indicative syllabus of English is concerned, it's pretty similar to what they released last year, right? So in that regard, I'm not expecting any changes. Overall, if there are any changes, see again, I can't comment on this. It would be a little immature on my part to comment on the fact whether the pattern is set in stone, whether things will change radically tomorrow. We don't know that, right? But overall, I am not expecting major changes as such, right? Especially for my section, I'm confident that I'm not expecting any major changes, right? Okay. Good question, Ipsita. I'm just going to answer this. See, for the English section, this should be your order of questions. Vocabulary and grammar first. Always, always in any entrance exam that you take in your life, not just TISSNET. Okay, even if you're taking MHCT afterwards, even if some of you are planning for CMAT afterwards, vocabulary and grammar first, then the other questions. Between these two, so by verbal logic, I mean your para jumbles, I mean your critical reasoning in case it comes, right? I mean all these short verbal reasoning questions that you can get, right? For all these questions, it is up to you. Okay, if it is your strength, for instance, I find the TISSNET para jumbles to be pretty doable because there are choices. The moment you give me options, para jumble becomes easy for me. So I go for a para jumble question first, then I go for the RC passages. But some of you might feel that, okay, para jumbles are not my strength. So you go for RC passages first, then you can go for para jumbles. So this order is up to you, but vocabulary and grammar definitely saves time over these two question types, right? So this should be your order of questions. All right. In my opinion, Shubhransh too. इंग्लिश सेक्शन आरसी से नहीं स्टार्ट करना चाहिए मयंक दैट इज व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू डोंट स्टार्ट विद द आरसी पैसेजेस बिकॉज सी व्हेन वी स्टार्ट समथिंग अगेन वी स्टार्ट विद द इंटेंशन दैट वी हैव टू गेट थिंग्स राइट सो स्टार्ट विद शॉर्टर क्वेश्चंस स्टार्ट विद द easier questions. Now, of course, you can't gauge the ease or difficulty without reading a question, but you can ensure this at least that I start with a shorter question, a time saving question. So, and TISSNET gives you ample opportunities. There are ample easy questions in the English section. So fill in the blanks, very easy sometimes, right? Sometimes even the error spotting questions are pretty easy. So make use of that, right? Start with such questions and not such questions. Okay. All right, then in vocabulary, as I've always told you in the vocabulary sessions, I even discussed this in the last lab to TISSNET in detail that use grouping and elimination for your vocabulary questions. Let me show you this through an example. Okay, and this is again something that I stated in the last lab to TISSNET session that sometimes even for a vocabulary question, grammar can help you. Okay, so let's see how that can happen. I'll just show it to you. Okay, so here's a direct question. We'll apply grouping and elimination in this. The grammar bit I'll show you in the next question. Yes, what is the antonym of this word efface? Sajal, depends on Sejal, sorry. Sejal, it depends on which of these is your strength out of English and maths. So yes, GK first, that's something that I would recommend. Then if English is your strength, definitely English. If maths is your strength, then maths first. My sequence would be this, what you've written. So what does this word efface mean? I have to give the antonym, sorry. Yes, antonym. Read the instructions very carefully. Yes, Ipsita. So, for critical reasoning, in the past, we conducted some very conceptual fundamental sessions. So, you can find critical reasoning inference questions separately, strengthening, weakening questions separately. So, these are older videos, right? But you can find them. Okay. C, Jonty says, Jonty asks actually. C, Naman is also saying C. Harshit C. All right. So, see, absolutely correct. Three of you have answered, and see, all of you should have answered in this time frame, okay? 20 to 25 seconds are more than enough for this question type. Efface is a verb, right? That is something that we realized because the other options are also verbs. Now, even if you do not know the meaning, if you have an idea about these two, obliterate and erase, you know that obliterate also means to destroy something completely, right? Namo nishan mita dena, that's the Hindi translation of obliterate. To destroy something so completely that not even its letter remains. This letter here means letter. So very similar words, these two. Quite likely that neither of them is the answer. So I have eliminated these based on my guess if I do not know the meaning of efface. Now I'm left with create and construe. Create and construe. The word has face in it, right? So it's probably associated with, uh, you know, creation or destruction. In fact, these three options give me that idea also that it's either about creating something or about destroying something. There were two options related to destroying, so those probably could not be the answer. So out of create and construe, construe means to interpret. You know, she construed my statement negatively. You've construed it correctly. So this is about interpretation. It's not about creating something, giving a face to something, or destroying something. So efface is erase, to delete the face of something. The antonym would be create. Now I'm sure that some of you have made a guess here, and your guess is absolutely correct. Right? So this is what I meant by grouping and elimination. I grouped and eliminated these two. Then I made a calculated guess between these two in case I did not know the meaning of efface. Make sense? We had to give the antonym and not the synonym. Read the instructions carefully. Okay. Coming to this. Her remarks were hardly dashed to the discussion. These are your four options. Harshit, yes, in case your instinct has been honed by previous practice. Definitely, I support you. D, C, A. Okay. So except B, I have got everything. Now I'm sure that you've eliminated D on the basis of context. So you thought that demeaning is associated with insulting someone, and there is no person involved here. Demeaning someone, right? We usually use it that way. So we are talking about a discussion, so therefore demeaning does not fit contextually. Excellent. You should make use of the context whenever you have the context, right? Okay. Then grammar. Remember, I told you grammar can help. Were hardly relevance. Do I need a noun in my blank? No, I don't need a noun. I need an adjective here, isn't it? And basically, probably, I should not say basically, probably I'm looking for the word relevant here, isn't it? They were hardly relevant to the discussion. Okay, so now I'm left with apposite and suiting. They were hardly suiting to the discussion. Does that sound right to you? A lot of you have said D. They were hardly suiting to the discussion. Suitable to the discussion, I would have understood. Yes, suitable to the discussion makes perfect sense. But suiting to the discussion, does it grammatically make sense to you? Suiting the discussion is also fine, but suiting to is incorrect. Okay, so I eliminated apposite to the discussion. Apposite means relevant. Apposite means relevant. So see, I eliminated this on the basis of the context, what was required in the sentence. Then I eliminated these two on the basis of grammar, isn't it? Suiting to did not make sense to me. Similarly, relevance did not make sense to me grammatically in this sentence. And that is how, even when I did not know the meaning of apposite, let's say, okay, I knew, but in case, let's say you do not know this in the exam, then you can eliminate on this basis, right? Appropriate to the discussion is also fine. Appropriate would also be correct here. They were hardly appropriate to the discussion. Okay, so here the idea is whether they were relevant or not. So relevant, a synonym is apposite, right? Pertinent is also a synonym. Pertinent, relevant, apposite, right? Hope this makes sense. Please apply grouping and elimination. There could always be this one word that could trouble you. At least eliminate the two easy options first. Two options are always going to be easy. Between the other two options, then read again. Read relatively carefully if you are confused. Okay? Suited. They were hardly suited to the discussion is also fine. Suited is also correct. Suitable is also correct. Appropriate also fits. Just that we don't have these words in the options. Okay? Okay. Now, in grammar, the question type fill in the blanks can be particularly time saving. Why? Because instead, like unlike in error spotting where you have to read each and every fragment carefully and then spot an error, here you just have to decide between four options. And anyway, the options are also, if it's a preposition question, you have to basically decide between on, in, such, such things you have to do. So very time saving questions, hardly 20-second questions these are. Right? So let's look at this grammar question here. A fill in the blank question. Let's see what you say. Okay. All right. Others? Hmm. So the question here is, what is the past tense of cost? Isn't it? That's what we are trying to gauge here. So many of you say B. Then I have also, I can see some C's here. Does C fit? I think C and D were easy to eliminate, weren't they? C and D were easy to eliminate. See, when we were young, so costs is clearly present tense. I am looking for the past tense. And why would I put it in the past continuous? I'm talking about a specific point of time, right? when we were young. I'm treating it as a point of time. So I can't use the past continuous. Eliminated. So C and D should be easy to eliminate for you. This knowledge, this level of knowledge, I expect from you. It's between these two, right? Now, usually, the past tense of cost is cost itself and not costed. There are special circumstances when it is costed. What are those couple of special circumstances? When you are estimating the price of something. Let's say there's a project and you're estimating how much the project is going to cost your company. So estimating the price of a particular project, okay, of a particular operation, right? And basically when you're estimating how much you need to charge from the other person, right? So it is used in that sense that, the project needs to be costed. You must have heard such sentences. The project needs to be costed. Needs to be costed. This to be costed usage is very common in that sense. The project still needs to be costed. Right? So when you're estimating the price of a project, an operation, in that sense, you are trying to cost it. And here we use costed. Otherwise, the past tense of cost is cost itself and not costed. Okay. I hope this makes sense. Now, again, two options were easy to eliminate. Between the other two, now see, this becomes a relatively knowledge-based question. So in case in the exam you are confused, let's say some of you have heard cost also and costed also, then only you will be confused. Otherwise, some of you straight away marked B here. Yes. So in that case, it's okay. I think then ignorance is bliss in the exam in that case. In case you are confused, just make a calculated guess and proceed. All right. Okay, now look at this fill in the blank. All right. Welcome, Divya, in case this is meant for me. Look at this error spotting question. Sorry, fill in the blank question. So, A and B both. Okay. First of all, is a hyphen needed or not needed? So, Alekhya, in case you know the meanings of some of the phobias and manias and you feel that they don't fit the present question, first eliminate them, get them out of the way. Then, in case there are two options which you absolutely do not know the meaning of, then you have to make a guess between those two options, right? So, you are then just reducing the probability of getting it wrong. What is the difference between A and B? A good question. Now, see, this is something, in case some of you took SNAP, I covered this question, I covered this concept there as well. So, and this is something that, we do not pay attention to in mathematics, in quant. That's why students get it wrong. So first things first, you need a hyphen here. Why do you need a hyphen here? Because if I do not put a hyphen, right? See, both two-third is one quantity, isn't it? It's one quantity that is describing the quantity of the book that you've read. It is describing book. So in case you do not put a hyphen here, it looks like 2 is modifying third. No, 2 is not describing third. Two-third together is describing the book, the quantity of the book that you've read, isn't it? So I need a hyphen here. These two are incorrect, right? Now it comes to this. Always, now this is something that's a learning for life for a lot of you. Whenever the numerator is plural, no, then after the denominator we should put an S. So it is 3/4, not 3/4. And it's a very common error that students make because we do not pay attention to this in mathematics. So 3/4, 4/5, right? 4/7, and not 4/7. You get it? So, 2/3. Whenever the numerator is plural, the denominator has to have an S. All right. Good, Simran. Correct, correct. I hope this makes sense to you. The answer is C here, not B. Everyone is now clear with this? All right. So whenever you get a question incorrect, treat it as a learning. Okay. It's one fewer question that you're going to get incorrect in the exam. I see a lot of students telling me, oh, हमारे तो यहाँ पर कुछ सही नहीं हो रहा, पता नहीं exam में क्या होगा. If you are getting a question inaccurate here, particularly for grammar and vocabulary questions, I'm saying this, you are learning. That's one fewer question incorrect in case it comes in the exam. One more concept learned. Treat it that way. Okay, perfect. All right. I am giving you relatively trickier questions. If I give you the easier questions of the TISSNET, all of you will solve them. So you don't need me for the easy questions of the TISSNET. You need me for the tricky ones. And that's what I have, that's the kind of questions that I frame. Okay, these are the kind of questions that I frame. Yes. Error spotting. Spot the error A, B, C, or D. Welcome, welcome, monkey. C, A, all right. B, D, okay. So I've got everything. A, B, C, D. Okay, so I understand your feeling that it could be A also, B also, C also. There are traps. So first of all, this is correct. It is I. I understand that in our conversations, nobody says it is I. We say it's me. Yes? If you knock at someone's door and they ask you, who is it? You say it's me. You don't say it's I. But formal British English, standard British English says that it should be, it is I. And there is logic to it also. It's not without logic. See, if you say it is me, what is the subject in this sentence? Because me is definitely not a subjective pronoun. ये तो object है, isn't it? So then, is it the subject? But aren't you the focus of the sentence? So here I need the subject. I do not need the object. So I cannot use the objective pronoun. I need to use the subjective pronoun. It is I. Who? Now what does who refer to? I. Who is a relative pronoun? Relative pronouns refer to the noun or pronoun that comes before them, immediately before them. So it is I. Is this a correct verb then? If who refers to I, then is the correct verb for I. Will you say I is? I is a good person. Yes, it should be am. Okay, it is I who am to blame for this situation. Now, some of you must be thinking why to blame and why not to be blamed. See, to blame is an expression, it's an idiomatic way that in a way you are saying this only that okay, I am the one whom you should blame. Okay, you should blame me. That's what you are saying. But to blame is a correct usage. It is I who am to blame. So those who are thinking to be blamed, it is not incorrect, it's just that it is passive voice, right? But to blame is absolutely fine, no error there. It's an expression. So it is I who am to blame. Clear? So B, Bangalore was the error here. Also, one more thing. In the previous question, what is the logic behind putting the plural here? Let me clarify that also. So basically, two-thirds कैसे बनते हैं? You take one-third portion plus one more third portion. So in a way, you have taken two one-third. Okay, दो लिए आपने two, and that is why it becomes two-thirds. That's why it is plural, right? That's why it is three-fourths. You take three-quarters, and that is what makes three-fourths, right? Punctuation, it's rare. It's very rare. Okay. Uh, so I usually have spotted this, that in a lot of entrance exam, in a lot of OMETs, when they expect you to identify punctuation errors, they write it specifically in the directions of the question, in the instructions of the question itself. So otherwise, it's very rare for them to be questioning you on punctuation. Right? I framed it that way because I wanted to test the concept of two-thirds and wanted to explain that logic. Right? How to use who and whom correctly? Good question. Let's see that. Okay, so a very easy way for you to identify when to use who, when to use whom. So see this. If I just take this part, take the fragment. Now the standard grammar term for this is a clause. It's a clause. Okay. I am correcting this. Now, why is this a clause? Because it has a verb also, am, and who is the subject here? Who is the subject here? So a group of words with a subject and a verb is called a clause. And in grammar, we call this a relative clause. Why a relative clause? Because this is a relative pronoun. Who is a relative pronoun? Hence, a relative clause. So whenever you have such a question where there is who and after who there is something written, there is a fragment there. Okay, so he is the person, he is the person who always attends lectures, always attends lectures, right? So this part is a relative clause here, right? Now, uh, just imagine that this were a question. This were a question. So who always attends lectures? What is your answer? He, right? If I give you an option who or whom, your answer will be he always attends lectures. Will it be him always attends lectures? You'll never say him always attends lectures, right? So if it is not him, if the answer is not him, then the question cannot be whom. If the answer is he, the question has to be who. If the answer is him, the question has to be whom. You can remember it that way. Let me give you another example. Ravi is the person who or whom Ria loves. Right. What will you put here? 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers is a long distance. The is coming there, Harshit, because of a long distance. You are treating these 5 kilometers as one single unit. Okay? Good. Yes, absolutely correct, Shruti. It will be one third, not one thirds. Then it would be one thirds is incorrect. So easy, right? This is easy because Ria loves, if you ask the question, the answer will be Ria loves him, isn't it? Ria loves him. It will not be who, it will not be he, right? Ria loves he. That does not make sense. So if it is him, it has to be whom. So Ravi is the person whom Ria loves. Right. So this is a very easy way to gauge whether who will come in the sentence or whom will come in the sentence. Whom, him, m याद कर लो, ठीक है? और आंसर में अगर he आ रहा है तो that means who आएगा. Okay, perfect. So far so good. Any query that you have, please ask. In case I forgot to answer any query, you can always repost it, right? I'll answer it. For RC passages, you know what you have to do. You don't need to skip anything, right? It's not that you are super short of time when it comes to the RC passages in the English section. So read the passage, read it for key ideas. Okay, don't read it word by word, but you don't have to skip anything also, right? So read it for key ideas, then attempt all the questions. You know that, right? No negative marking. And do give a sincere shot to them. because out of your 10 questions, majority are going to be easy. Okay, majority are going to be on the easier side, on the time saving side, on the direct side. Okay, for the 2-3 questions that are difficult, for them, do not get stuck. It's not worth it. Just either make calculated guesses at that point, or if you're not even able to make a calculated guess, then leave it for round 2. Right? So this is how you should go for your RC passages. Yes, Mayank, absolutely correct. Who is a subjective pronoun? Whom is an objective pronoun? Just like I is a subjective pronoun and me is an objective pronoun. At least for, okay, so 30 minutes I think is what you need. Uh, because see, while you will take less time for your direct vocabulary questions, for your fill in the blank questions, sometimes your critical reasoning or the verbal reasoning questions can take a bit of time, and your RCs may take a bit of time. So overall, it balances out to 1 minute per question. So I think 30 minutes is needed to score good marks, which is something that you need to do. Okay, when it comes to TISSNET. All right, so this was for RC passages. So far, we have talked about vocabulary, grammar, RC passages. For reasoning, for parajumbles, I've told you it depends on you. In case you find them to be a stronger area as compared to RCs for yourself, then go for them first. Otherwise, go for them after the RCs. It's up to you. I go for them before the RCs. Okay. Is it good to choose the word which is odd one among them? Piyush, that strategy works in case 3 of the options are very close. Absolutely, that's a way to group. In case 3 of the options are extremely close, and there's just one option that appears to be pretty far apart from them, then most likely it is the answer. It's a hack. Works at times, may not work in a couple of questions, but yes, it's a hack. Yes, yes, that's your calculated guess. Correct. So in the difficult questions, I've already told you this, that you have to make calculated guesses. Okay, otherwise, बिल्कुल ही नहीं समझ में आया. You are not able to understand the question. You find the options to be extremely tough. Then again, the option that you had pre-decided, just mark that. Okay. All right. So this was about the English section to solve parajumbles in less time. So Sayak, one thing is that when I have options, no, in parajumbles, I quickly glance at the options. I don't solve through the options, but I glance at the options. So for instance, if let's say these are my options, okay. Oh, all right. And let's say there is a C also. Huh. These are my options. So I know that D cannot be the opening sentence. See, every bit of information helps. So I have now realized that in the sentences, D is not the opening sentence. So I'll focus on A, B, and C first and see if I can identify the opening sentence there. Then one more thing that I do is a vertical scan. Focus on the initial few words. That does not mean that you don't have to read the rest of the sentence, but sometimes they are full of clues, abundant with clues, such as however, but, additionally, then, next. Okay, so do pay attention to these. So glancing at the options, vertical scan, making mandatory pairs and eliminating. So for instance, these two are pretty close, aren't they? So I'll try that I'm able to identify, okay, whether CD is a pair or CB is a pair. I'll try to identify that. So if I feel that okay, CD is a pair, then that eliminates two options right away, and I'm left with just two options. If earlier I was able to identify what is the opening sentence, I have solved this question in 2 steps. Opening sentence, one mandatory pair. You get it? So this is how I proceed in parajumbles and save time by first glancing at the options, then making a mandatory pair, then eliminating. Sometimes I solve the question in 2 steps. Okay. Yes, in case you found value in the session, please do like it, right? We are left with some exam day tips, which I'm going to give you shortly. Read questions and then read the RC. Rahul, yes, if this works for you, absolutely. See, because sometimes the question stems contain keywords that you then need to focus on while reading the RC passage. So if, let's say, you are able to remember the keywords given in the questions, then read the question stems first and then go to the RC, you can do that. for me, my accuracy now at this stage, see, again, I've been teaching for many years. So my accuracy remains similar, whether I go for RCs first or I go for questions first, right? So I go for the RC first and then I go for the questions. If this works for you, that, you're able to focus more on that bit of information that has been asked in the questions, then by all means, you can read the questions first, right? Okay. Simran, okay. Which word from the given options is most similar in meaning to the word in capitals used as a verb? Yes, Simran. See, so this is a combination of vocabulary and grammar. They wanted to know the meaning of the word mean from you, right? They wanted a synonym or the meaning of the word mean from you when the word mean is used as a verb. अब मीन जो है वो वर्ब की तरह भी यूज हो सकता है. मीन इज ऑल्सो एन एडजेक्टिव. शी सो मीन. वी से दैट नो. ही सो मीन. They don't need the meaning of this mean. They need the meaning of this mean. I mean no harm. She means well. Okay. Or this word means, when I say the word apposite means relevant. Right? So this is the meaning that they are looking for. So what does this mean? What it signifies? उसका मतलब क्या है? Right? What it denotes? So that is why the answer was signify there. Okay? All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Some exam day tips for you. I'm sure that you've done this. In case you haven't, just open Google Maps and see what is the time of the center from your home during peak traffic hours, okay, so that you start accordingly tomorrow from your home, right? Avoid carrying any bags. Why to complicate matters? You don't know the kind of security that your center has. Then use the washroom before leaving for the center, something that works well for me, so just advising you the same. And carry your own water bottle and make sure that it's transparent, okay, so that although it's a 100-minute exam, I don't feel thirsty in a 100-minute exam, but in case you do, carry your own transparent water bottle and carry a ball pen also. It could be blue, it could be black. Okay, just for being safe. All right. I just told you, Sumit. Did you see the part about vocabulary? So two option ending with any four option will not come first, right? I didn't get you, Harshit. Okay. Good, Shruti. See, you should always keep 5 to 7 minutes as a buffer for the end, so that you are able to look at those questions that you weren't, that you were getting, let's say, confused about earlier. So this 5-10 minute buffer helps you. Okay, keep it for whichever purpose you think it is the best for you. Last day revision of English, Naksh, just go through some of the grammar rules or some of the grammar questions that you earlier found trickier, right? And that's about it. That's what I would suggest. I think you will better utilize this time by revising some of your GK notes in case you have them, right? So that is something that you can do. You've practiced a couple of vocabulary questions with me. In case you want, then on the BYJU'S exam prep app, there are some vocabulary and grammar tests for you. 10-10 minute tests. You can take those tests. So that will again help you, right? 10-10 minute में finish भी हो जाएंगे and then you'll be free for the day. Documents, you know this. Come on, it's there on your admit card. You need two passport size photographs. You need a photo ID proof. Photo ID proof could be anything. Your voter ID, your driver's license, your Aadhaar card, anything works. Even your passport works, right? All right. They might give you Rulia. Just to be safe, you can carry your own. Today, eat healthy. Do not binge on anything. Do not binge watch anything. Rest your eyes. Organize all your stuff in advance. Just create a pouch and organize your stuff. Okay. Keep your admit card there. Keep your photographs there. Paste a photograph. Do all of this today itself. Rest your eyes. Do not binge watch anything today. Sleep for 7 to 8 hours. Okay. So that you're not tired during the exam. And very important, do not panic. TISSNET is not a difficult exam. If you have practiced, then you have a high chance of succeeding in the exam. Okay, and as I always tell you, you are worthy of all your desires, everything that you wish for in life. Okay, All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome. There is a query here. If two options are ending with, let's say, C, so the sentence will not start from C. This is just, no, I don't agree with this, Arshit. Don't go for such hacks. I don't think this is a good hack. Okay. All right. All the very best. All my wishes are with you. We'll catch you tomorrow after the exam at 5:30 p.m. where we'll analyze the paper, how it was. We might even discuss some questions with you, right? So uh, just remember, you have prepared well consistently so far, right? That is going to bear fruit for you tomorrow. Just stay calm, okay? That's all that is needed from your end. And keep attempting the paper as it comes to you, vocabulary and grammar first in the English section, then reasoning or RC. Right? Hope this helps. Welcome, welcome all of you. You know this. This is our comprehensive CAT 23 program. In case any of your friends or you are thinking of preparing for CAT 23, you can enroll right now. Then in case you are a retaker, you want to retake CAT in 23, then we have a workshop for you on 25th February at 7 p.m. You need to register for it in advance. And as I told you, we'll catch you at 5:30 p.m. for an analysis. We'll talk about expected cutoff, something that students are pretty worried about after the exam. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything that you want to know from an analysis, right? So catch you. And I hope you've already subscribed to the channel, you've liked the session, and you have been following us on various social media handles, right? Welcome, guys. Welcome. All the very best. Bye bye. CMAT, we'll have a lot of CMAT sessions. Don't worry about it. Okay? Bye bye. Bye bye. Welcome.